Hey everybody, welcome back to the Resistance broadcast. We are the official podcast of StarWarsNewsNet.com. I'm John, thank you so much for joining us today. We have a wonderful show for you today. Unfortunately, Star Wars news is light, as tends to happen.
What? You don't say.
Even the rumor mill is light. I think one of the recent official Star Wars shows, or This Week in Star Wars, whatever, they were like showing cookie recipes. I don't know what they were doing, but because of that, we are changing things up a little bit today and doing something we've done in the past, where it's going to be all about you driving us to talk about stuff. And what we mean by that is we're opening up Ask the Resistance, where we're featuring pretty much the entire episode based on questions you have submitted to us. So we thank you for helping us trigger up some conversations. And James and Lacey are with me, of course, as always. Big power outage on the East Coast, so I'm actually doing a bit of a bootleg rig here to get the podcast going. I got my camera and stuff, but also I have my phone, which I'm talking to you guys through. But we have to make it happen, right? So, Lacey, you were out of power for a few days, including no cell phone service. So you were, no breaks. So you were really off the grid. James, you're in Ohio, so I think you were fine, right? You didn't get hit by the tropical storm?
No, in fact, it was kind of one of those things where I was like, it was like the Gandalf meme. I'm like, tropical storm?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I didn't even know it was coming till like the day before. Like, I didn't know what the deal was with it. And then we just got hammered. So I still don't have internet here. I'm doing Zoom through the phone and got the camera going on. But Lacey, you're back up and running full, right?
Yeah, so I lost power around like 2:30, 3 o'clock a couple days ago. And I lost power a little under 24 hours. So like I went through a whole day. We went to the store. We got a ton of ice. We were one of those people that like got a bunch of ice, then came home. I put all the ice into gallon-sized bags and like filled my fridge with ice.
Powdered milk.
Well, what else did I get?
Canned
I got
goods.
bread and peanut butter and apples and oranges and bananas. We got instant coffee, and then the power came on less than 24 hours later. So now I have all this stuff.
You're going to sell it? How about we do a giveaway? Well, if you retweet this episode, Lacey's going to give you all of her extra groceries.
If you want the instant coffee. Although it's good. It's Starbucks coffee, so it's legit. But it was just funny. Well, not funny. I feel bad, but our power came back on, and the street next to us doesn't have it, and the street behind us doesn't have it, and the street to the right and left of us also don't have it. So our street has power, and everybody around us has generators running. So it's like a constant like noise all the time.
So comment on the episode.
That's Warped Tour.
with I want the coffee. If you want Lacey to send you her instant coffee. Or if you're not watching us on YouTube, you can hit us up on Twitter saying, I want the coffee.
Send some bananas in the mail too, just...
And then people will retweet anytime anyone tweets us with, I want the coffee. And people will be like, why are they doing this? And then they're going to have to check out the show. That's how it works around here.
Maybe I can do one of those like really cool social media coffees that everybody makes with the instant coffee. And then you put some sugar in it and you whip it and it gets all fluffy.
Right. You whip coffee?
Well, it's called Del Noga. It's like you take the instant coffee, you put sugar in it, and you whip it, and it gets like really big, like a meringue. Mm-hmm. And then you're supposed to put it over ice or something.
Sounds like Dino.
That's another thing. That's another thing about Warped Tour is like everybody's starting their own like clothing line or whatever, like shirt company or something. And then like if you get deep enough, like everybody's starting their own coffee company.
There you go. It's like podcasting.
I love coffee.
I'm pretty sure my singer or maybe my bassist has a coffee company or is associated with coffee that he sells in Chicago.
I bet it's
coffee.
I bet it's crap.
I don't know. Apparently the Under Oath guitarist coffee is like legit though.
Does he swear on that?
Coffee, sponsor us.
Yeah. Do what?
Does he swear by his coffee?
Yes. Under Oath.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. Do you guys have, before we get into this, do you guys have any traditions for when you lose power? Do you have like board games you play, or do you have like candles, or you read books, anything like that?
For once, my candle obsession came in handy.
What kind of candles we working with?
Well, I've got a lot of scented, but you don't want to go too crazy with the scented because then you're going to be like overpowered. I have the IKEA white candles that I use.
Oh, okay. All right, James.
I get mad for the wrong reason, because I'm always like, stop buying physical media, everybody. Like, I don't know if any listeners know that about me, but I'm like, stop buying physical media. It's dumb. Like, this is the future. You're going to be able to keep the content, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And one of the biggest argument I always get back is, but what about when the internet is out? And I'm like, it's a non-answer. That never happens.
And then it happens.
I know, but it's like, it's not like oh man, forget all my digital media. It's more like, okay, for this 1 week when there's a natural disaster, like,
James,
you could be like me.
Maybe that's the situation. We're not talking about that when I'm talking about buying it on digital versus like a physical copy. But
sure,
but everybody holds that against me. They're like, "Oh man, remember when you said you can just watch Solo anytime you want? No, you can't because you don't have the thing."
What voice is that? Because John and I both said that.
It's everybody. It's you guys.
Well,
so then
we were right though.
Physical meat. No, you're wrong. You're wrong because you don't need it during the week.
James,
you're not going to live a lifestyle based on the 1 week where you have a natural disaster.
When you buy
crazy.
When you buy a Star Wars movie on Blu-ray or 4K, it comes with a free digital copy, so it's the same price too. So why wouldn't you buy?
No, it's not. It's more expensive.
Get out of here.
Okay, well,
what do you mean, get out of here? It's literally more expensive to buy.
Not if you buy the regular
copies.
Blu-ray.
Nope.
All right, well, back to the storm.
Some movies, maybe,
so I had my iPad because, like John, they didn't really make a big deal about the storm. They're like, oh, it might be a little windy, NBD. And then everything went out. And I was like, well, I have my iPad. I got some movies on there. The only movie I had was The Force Awakens.
Oh, really? Did you watch it?
Matt refused to watch it. Absolutely not. And I was like, but it's all we have. He's like, I'd rather sit here in the dark in silence than watch that.
I'm very upset at both of you, actually.
Why?
Because no one has mentioned anything about my new hat.
Yeah, no one mentioned about it, but I posted on our Instagram page
it's been around for a long time.
Oh, not everyone follows us on Instagram. It's a podcast debut of the new brand.
Is this your first time wearing Gary?
No. I've worn Gary before.
Oh, okay.
And I did a rumor review with Gary, too. But yeah, here's the front, the logo, and then the new back. My hair is like a mess, but the new back has the Resistance broadcast. So my high school varsity... The Rebels hat is not... I didn't destroy it. It's not like Kylo Ren didn't disappear. It will be back, but
that was a low blow. Hey, John, where can people get that hat?
They can't. That's the beautiful part. It's like
I'm only saying that because you've been saying that to James for probably like a year, so it's about time.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. James took photos. I'm just gonna say this. Lacey's like, can you guys send me photos of you wearing our merch so we can use it to promote them? And James sent him in the Solo red sweatshirt, which you can't buy anymore, and then him in his Solo gold sweatshirt, which literally no one else on Earth has. So,
and I'm sitting there like, is this a joke?
Yeah, but anyway, that was funny. But
it goes even deeper though, because literally every other shirt that I have of ours is one we don't sell anymore.
Gone. Yeah.
So every single picture that I have of me in one of our shirts is not available anymore.
Gary the Porg is available.
I have Kylo Ren on.
Supreme Leader, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Got my celebration shirt.
So let's get into it now. We're going to do a little bit of a full slate of Ask the Resistance. We are going to split it up, and in the middle of it, we're going to get into the Patreon Padres. But you guys ready for some questions?
Yeah, let's go.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
All right. Do you want me to just read all of them, or do you want to take turns? What do you want to do?
John, shouldn't we have figured that out before the episode? Yes, you can read all the questions.
You just read them. Yeah.
I think they like a little bit of the candidness. Let's put this down.
Oh.
We're not a scripted show. This isn't WWE Raw here, folks. All right. First question is from...
I'm taking you out.
Yeah. Listen, brother. What's my line? Oh. Alex Zukis at Zubaka. I believe Alex is a commander on Patreon, too. What's up, Alex? He asked, could we possibly see Cal Kestis in live action? That is from Jedi Fallen Order. If yes, where would your first guess be? So Cameron Monaghan, I know Lacey and I saw him at the premiere for The Rise of Skywalker, sweet brag. The game was a big success, right? They're making a second one. I could see him popping up somewhere. So, Lacey, I'm gonna throw this to you here. Do you think he can make his transition from video game to live action?
I think he totally could, but I'm blanking on the timeline. Guys, I've said this before. I'm so bad of where things fall. So where does this fall?
Oh, it's between. So it's after...
Between.
It's after Order 66 and before the Galactic Civil War, before New Hope.
So it's in that chunk of time between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
so
I think
he
closer
could show
closer
up
to
with
3,
Cassian, right?
Do what?
He could show up for the Cassian show.
Here's the thing. If as far as we know, as far as showing up in live action, the only real possibility is going to be in the TV shows. He's either going to show up in Obi-Wan or he's going to show up in Cassian. Because, I mean, he could show up in Mandalorian, but I feel like it's out of his age range at that point.
A different product, but yeah, and it's got to be in that range.
I'd like to see him in Cassian personally, because I think him and Cassian would have a cool interaction.
Or it'd be cool, like, imagine they, for some reason, go to Jeddah and they show him meeting up with, what's his name? Our boy Chirrut or something.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is kind of a talking it out as we go here,
No,
but
well,
I think Cassian is definitely where we're going to see
That'd be cool.
Yeah, these are like mini discussions, I think, instead of more of an Ask the Resistance. But I think Cassian's cool. I think it also makes sense with Obi-Wan too, because I think that's more realistically the timeline and it's kind of more of a Force-centric show. But also, I don't think he's going to show up in live action ever. I think they're just going to keep him. That character is what it is.
What a waste.
I think he will cross over to other things like books or comics, maybe. Potentially other video games if they do something in that range or whatever. I don't know. I think he will eventually show up, but I don't think we're gonna get another live action like Jedi running around. The only thing that I think would be possible, in my personal opinion, is if he shows up as part of the Obi-Wan series. But I feel like we would know that.
Well, imagine, like, if they change leadership or whatever, and they're just like, whoever comes in, they're like, how has this not been done yet? We're doing a Vader series, and that he gets in that way. Post Revenge of the Sith era, hunting down Jedi sort of thing.
Yeah, they want to do like we'll get to this question maybe later, but like the dark side show or whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I do like Cameron Monaghan, and at Celebration at his panel, he seemed like, again, what we love on this show, those people who really love being involved and being a part of Star Wars, and he seems very knowledgeable. He really got into his character and the lore of Star Wars and stuff. So I would love to see it for that reason too. I also am a Shameless fan. I thought he was great on that show. So it'd be cool, but yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Who knows? All right. Next one, John Risi at John S. Risi. What is up, General Beard? He said, when Make Solo 2 eventually happens, love it. How many seasons would you want, and do you have any thoughts on overall season storylines? So, James, I'll start with you on this one.
Ooh, I don't know. Let's call it 4. I think Rebels had a nice solid 4. I think, I don't know. Avatar just did, or not just did, but like I just watched Avatar. They had 3 seasons, and I was like, that's pretty solid too. Mm-hmm. You know what? I'm gonna go with 3. I'm gonna go with 3 seasons. I'm gonna change
3
it.
seasons of Solo.
Yeah. So I think you treat it like a trilogy, and you do season 1, everything that was great. That was season 1. Boom. And then it gets renewed. You're like, cool. We're doing 2 more. Season 2 ends on a bad cliffhanger. Season 3 rounds out the whole thing.
All right.
I think that would be good.
Lacey, what do you think?
My first reaction would be 3, because that's what we've kind of expected with Star Wars movies, is that there's been 3, but I'm going to say 5.
5?
Yeah, go for
Give me
it.
a bunch of Solo.
Wow, that's amazing.
I mean, the average television show could go 5
I'm watching
or 6 or
Lucifer
7
right
seasons.
now. Yeah, and they have
Yeah.
season 5 coming out. And so far, it's been like season 1's great, season 2 is super strong, season 3 was like, eh. And then I'm getting into season 4 and it's starting to be good again. And then season 5, the trailer looks amazing. So I'm like going by that kind of formula of, I think you have enough stories to tell that you could have 5 seasons. And I think once you kind of explore the characters that we've seen so far and then grow beyond those characters and have those people move on, you can just keep going. So that's why I'm saying 5.
Right on. I love that. I was thinking 2. And no, and
Wait, didn't you create a song?
I did, but I think that's why I'm the lowest, because I just want it so bad that I'm not getting, like, I don't want to say you guys are being greedy for it, but
Oh, I am.
because I would even think they may even say we're just going to do a 1-season miniseries and just bang out 8 episodes and go on these adventures.
Like the Obi-Wan thing.
Yeah,
sorta.
but usually a lot of these shows off the bat are greenlit with 2 seasons. So maybe they just do that and fulfill that, and that's your 8 more hours of Han Solo and Chewie right there with all these other characters. But
Yeah, Netflix always does 2 seasons of their shows.
Yeah.
My friend works directly with Netflix for licensing for kids shows, and they always, no matter what, even if the show does terribly, they always usually do 2 seasons.
yeah,
Because it makes it look successful.
right. And a lot of shows have those season 1 setting things up, and then there's a cliffhanger at the
pilot,
end,
ugh.
and
Yeah.
they at least try to give them a swan song. This way they could be like, look, well, you're probably not getting renewed, so wrap up your story in season 2. Because
Right.
nothing's worse than a show that you're kind of like even a little bit, and you never just get, there's no ending. You're just like, oh, okay.
There was there was
that's
one
the other
year
thing.
of TV where I watched all these shows, and I was like, oh, these are pretty good, and every single one of them got canceled. And I was like,
That happened to me
oh.
too with the show The Event on NBC. I was like, this should be cool.
There was one show that was like kind of it was a show that was based off of the Once Upon a Time show on ABC. It was like specifically Alice in Wonderland. That was
Yeah.
pretty good, and that got canceled. And then there was another show where this girl was like had telepathic powers, but it was like with a really hot cop. They canceled that. I was like,
How did she not see that coming?
well, it was a young girl. It was like a little girl.
No,
I don't get
she
it.
had
What were you saying?
powers.
She's telepathic.
Psychic
How did she not
powers.
see the cancellation coming?
Oh.
How you doing?
Yeah, these all sounds like when you go see a movie and they have like fake TV shows.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
The best is that I would write like reviews about these shows for a website, and so every show I was reviewing for this website got canceled, and I was like, is it me? Am I the kiss of death that these shows?
Yeah. I was gonna say too quickly before we move on to the next one. I think that Disney probably has a better handling now on like how often a show should run before it like gets canceled. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they're too cautious about Star Wars. They're like, no, you get 3 seasons, tell a story in 3 seasons, the show's done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think they're gonna let anything run and let people be like, Mandalorian was awesome until like season 6, and then it was like that was dumb.
Yeah.
You know,
All the main-
I don't think they want that. They'd rather tell wider stories.
Because a lot of times with those shows, the main creators or lead writers leave for better opportunities or whatever, or like the head writers get to run their own show and they leave after the 3rd season. And
That's always what it is.
Yeah.
You know exactly when it happens too. It happened
Yeah.
with Lucifer. I was like, what is this clunky writing?
So
and it's
imagine
because all
like,
the writers
Mando
jumped.
season 6 and like Favreau's not there anymore and stuff. They're like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's weird to think like that is kind of what happens like with Rebels, for instance. So they like, instead of letting it run until it eventually got canceled, they said, no, we're doing 4 seasons. This is a show.
Yeah.
And now it has like a legacy. From there, they're like, well, we don't have, I mean, that was what it was. And now it has its place.
Yeah.
We're not going to continue to do Rebels. We're going to continue with another show that's similar to Rebels, or we're going to bring the Rebels characters into another show that's The Mandalorian or whatever.
Which will be interesting if they do that follow-up to Rebels, which I think everyone under the sun thinks is coming, but and Filoni not writing it or being heavily involved in the creative process, that'll be interesting. But all right, moving on to the next one. Another Resistance officer, Commander Jeremie at Jedi Jer _86. Hope all is well, buddy. He said, do you think we'll be seeing the Darksaber pass through time from hero to hero in future media in a similar way to how Anakin's lightsaber was passed along? I'm going to throw this out there to kick it off. I think the Darksaber is going to get destroyed. And I think it would be cool if it was done in The Mandalorian. But in terms of like showing how it's passed on, I'm not sure. So, Lacey, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get passed on. I think The Mandalorian's kind of going to be the end for the Darksaber. I don't like how they kept passing down the lightsaber in the sequel trilogy. I get why they brought it in for Rey to get started. I have said this before. I'll say it again. I really wish she had her own lightsaber through the rest of the series. I don't think she needed it to be Anakin or Luke's lightsaber to help her fight. I think it should have been her own. So I'm hoping they don't do this because I don't think it's necessary. I think once the story's been told, it can just kind of stay with who it's with.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because Mandalorians are definitely a lot different in The Mandalorian than they were during the Clone Wars. They got this whole new creed, and this is the way. They don't reveal themselves. Is the Darksaber even important anymore to what the Mandalorians are today? James, what's your take on this? You're the biggest Clone Wars fan of us. You like Mandalorian culture more than anyone here. So what do you think's going on?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's a fair point that the Mandalorians are kind of changing what they are or whatever. But I think no way they get rid of that thing. No way, because the Darksaber was created in a time period where we don't even know. Like, we don't even know, but it's like old, like Old Republic sort of, like, it's Tar Vizsla, and he was the first person who was Jedi and Mandalorian both, and he created this weapon, and it has been the symbol of Mandalore for so long that whoever owns it rules Mandalore and stuff, and it's like, it's just it's such an ancient weapon that we look at it like, oh, it's been around for, like 30 years or whatever, and it'll probably get destroyed. I'm like, nah, man, this is just a small segment of time. That saber is going to be something that they could carry through for the next, like, 1,000 years if they wanted to, because it's already survived 1,000 years. I'm assuming. I don't know. We don't know the time frame, but I think that's such a legendary weapon of Mandalore. To destroy it in the show would be like kind of crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know. Well, I'll bring it up later. But they blew up Maz's castle too.
Right. Which stood for 1,000 years, right? Something like that. She's had it for.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Next one here. The Kit Fisto Manifesto. I like that. That's pretty cool. Kit Fisto blog. Asked, the weekend that would have been Star Wars Celebration is coming up. Don't remind us, but you just did. And I picked the question, which means I just reminded everybody. Sorry. But anyway.
Yeah. Oh, you just lost the game, John.
I lost the Star Wars, like Hux.
No, the game.
Yeah. What do you think we could do as fans to make the weekend special anyway? All right, Lacey, what do you think? What should we do?
Do I really know what we're going to do?
I mean, in general, probably, right?
In general, what you can do is probably enjoy some of the content that people are going to put out, watch Star Wars, support small creators that weekend would be great, whether it be a podcast or a YouTuber or an artist, or I'm sure a lot of people have different products and stuff for sale. So yeah, that's a good way to celebrate.
And around the time, we're probably going to bring something back, right?
Yes. So that's what I meant, John, is if I knew what was going on or not. And you didn't really give me the wink. So not scripted, guys. Yeah, we're going to bring back the virtual cantina for the weekend of celebration. So we'll give you guys more details in the next week or so of how you can sign up. But that's going to be a fun experience for everyone. We can hang out, have some drinks, talk about Star Wars, just geek out together. The first two have been super, super fun. So I can only imagine that this one will be as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a weird situation when it comes to celebration, because as soon as they say they're not doing it, all of a sudden now it feels like us and other podcasts and other YouTube creators and stuff, all of a sudden now the weight falls on us, and it's like, well, what are we all going to do that weekend? You know?
Right.
And so it's like, we need someone to organize something fun, Star Wars related. So I think just about everybody that weekend is probably going to do some sort of thing that's like, in lieu of celebration, we are blank. And so I think we thought our virtual cantina is a great way for people to come and hang out and do that. So we decided on that. I think at this point in time, we're not even positive if we do anything else, but I'm sure.
Because we're still doing our two shows that week. So it's like.
Yeah, I'm sure we're probably just going to, in general, be like a little bit more active and sharing things and stuff. So I don't know. But I think what Lacey said right at the top is just to celebrate the small creators, because I think they're the people who is now getting celebration tossed on them.
Yeah.
You know, if the major label isn't going to do it, then you got to go find all the indie artists.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, a lot of people are going to be doing a lot of different stuff. And like Lacey said, the virtual cantina is a lot of fun, and it allows a lot of people to get together in one spot, which is almost like
the bar is like the best part of celebration.
Yeah. Yes. And it's like it's a mini digital celebration. That's really what the virtual cantina is, for that vibe. So it allows people to get together, to chat, to hear stories, to nerd out. So I think that'll be a good time. And then if we do think of other things that we want to do around that time, we'll let you guys know. And of course, if anybody has anything else going on, let us know, and it'll be good. It'll be a good time. It won't be like it would have been, but we got to do what we got to do. And then
actually, I might drop the Mandalorian season 2 trailer as well.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe we could.
I'm gonna let my friends over at ABC get the exclusive on that one.
Yeah. Maybe we do a shirt sale or something that weekend too. I don't know, but we'll definitely be doing.
I actually did consider that. So
nice. Okay. Next, Ryan Davis at Ryan Q Davis said, "Who wins in a lightsaber battle? Maul before he got cut in half versus Rey after the Rise of Skywalker?" James, do you want to go first?
No. I want to think about it. John, do you have an answer?
Yeah, I'm going Maul. And it's not even close. I think he would wreck Rey in a lightsaber battle. Because we've only seen Rey fight one person, and she lost half the fights. And the time she beat Kylo Ren, he was bleeding out at the hip. And I love Rey. She's one of my favorite characters now, but pre-cut in half Maul took Qui-Gon Jinn out, and he was holding his own against him and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I would think him versus just one person in his prime with his regular legs. I think he could beat Rey if we're talking just lightsaber battle. And if you bring Force Lightning into the mix, or whatever else Rey can get going on, I don't know. But I think lightsaber battle one-on-one, I'm giving it to Maul. I don't know, Lacey, what do you think?
I'm going Rey. I think Rey would beat him no problem.
No problem?
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, boy. We're going to have another Star Wars war.
We're talking post The Rise of Skywalker. So she's gone through the whole Kylo thing. She's come to terms with who she is. She's confident. She has a new lightsaber. She's ready to go. You don't know, is it post right, like directly after? Is it a couple years later that she's trained a little bit? It's just post. So I think
Yeah, but you're not talking about like seasoned veteran Rey. Really,
I'm talking
I think
like
it's supposed to be like somewhat
after The Rise of Skywalker. But even then, it's like she defeated Palpatine. You're talking about how she can't defeat Maul.
Well, she didn't fight Palpatine in a lightsaber. I think this is just a lightsaber duel, he's saying.
I still would say Rey.
Rey Skywalker would beat Maul.
Just Rey.
James, you got an answer?
Dude, props to the question, Ryan. Like,
it's a good one.
This is a good one because I think John's right to a degree because he's got a very young and very like bloodthirsty, skilled person who's just like thriving to he only exists to kill Jedi, you know, and then you have someone who is currently at the height of their power. They've basically defeated the dark side and the strongest entity in the dark side. But like it's a lightsaber fight. When she fights against Kylo's trained, but I don't think he's trained anywhere near as much as Maul.
I think Kylo would definitely beat Maul if we're going into that question.
Really?
No.
Yes.
I think Maul beats Kylo. I'm actually pretty positive Maul beats Kylo.
Nah.
But I'm not so sure about Rey.
Healthy Kylo beat Rey. Let's not forget that. Like post-training Rey too. Like if Leia didn't stop him, Rey's dead, right?
Do we call that training? She ran through the woods.
Yeah, but the whole thing is that she's been training for a year after The Last Jedi under Leia's tutelage.
I don't want to get into that, but
yeah,
it's interesting. It's interesting. This is the ultimate like nerds at a bar arguing about fake stuff. This is what it's all about.
So to move it along, I'm gonna say Maul as well, and I think that John is his biggest point is. Yeah, but it's a lightsaber battle. I think if there was something about like force or entity or having the backing of the Jedi and other things like that, then yeah, Rey was able to accomplish something way bigger than Maul ever did.
She blocked lightsabers with her hand.
What do you mean? What?
Like when Kylo went to swing at her, she blocked it with the Force. Like she blocked bolts.
That's when Maul gets her with the other half. Like,
Yeah. Did that happen? I don't remember that happening.
They both did it. They bent the blade, remember?
They bent the blade?
Yeah. They used the hand and the blade started going like this. Our audio listeners are like, great, thanks for the visual.
I know, but I literally do not know what you're talking about.
Our audio listeners don't realize I keep holding up my hand like they do in the movie. They can't see it.
Just watch it.
I must have just never noticed this.
When Kylo and Rey fight, they both hold the saber against each other.
They bend the blade.
I assume this is on the top of the Death Star with the waves and stuff?
Yeah.
Is that when it happens?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll have to watch it again.
Great question, though, Ryan. Almost incited another Star Wars war, so good on you. But now we're going to actually hit timeout on the questions to us, and we're going to send it to Lacey for our next segment, Patreon Pod Race. Lacey, what is going on?
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways that you guys can support us. You can comment, like, and subscribe on this video. You can follow us on all the different many audio apps from Spotify to Apple Podcasts to SoundCloud, etc. There's so many. Every day there's a new one that I didn't know existed. You can follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. You can follow us on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast. I'm sorry they don't match, but we're there. Anyway. But there's lots of ways you can support us, including on Patreon. So if you want more content from us, from, almost 3 to 4 weekly videos, which amount to like almost eight plus videos a month, math. So, so besides that, I was like, that doesn't add up in my head as I'm saying it. But hey, you don't come here for the math. You come here to listen to me talk about Star Wars. So, starting at $2 a month, which I will not get into the math either, starting there and going all the way up to our top tier, which are their generals. You can get all different types of access from videos and mailings and special chats on Discord and much, much more. But we want to say thank you to our generals, who are our top tier support. And so thank you to Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neel Shah, David Probus, John Risi, Micah Harrison, Jetta Rosewater, Michael Gaines, Bethany, Russ, Harbison, and Kendall Gelner. I'm training myself, Russ. So yeah, thank you guys so much for your support. It means so much to us.
Thank you.
And so the Patreon pod race, before all that rambling before this, is where our generals get to be a part of the show. We ask them a cool question, they give us an answer, and we talk about it. So this week we have General Jeremie, and we asked him, which Star Wars movie or show would you use to introduce a child to the franchise for the first time, and why? Jeremie, take it away.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? So this is a question that I used to debate in my head over and over when the sequel trilogy came out, because I was a diehard original trilogy guy. But then after thinking about it and having a real young daughter at the time, I wanted her to see it in sequential order for the storyline. I'm a big storyline guy, so I was all about seeing it, as it plays out. And even now, when I read a book or comics or anything, I like the storyline continuation of it. And the Phantom Menace has the kid factor, so I think it can connect to kids well, and young Anakin, and seeing him grow as a boy, and then how he grows into a man and to the dark side. So I truly believe seeing the Phantom Menace first would be great to introduce it to the kids. So hope you're all well. General Jeremie out.
Way to go, Jeremie. Awesome video. On location this time.
Again.
Always on location.
Beep.
So,
Beep.
so, John, what did you think of his answer?
I personally don't know that I would, because I'm such a stickler for the OG stuff.
So, John, where would you start with your son when he was ready?
New Hope, I think. I think I would go release order, the Pablo Hidalgo in recommended way. But I completely understand the vantage point of starting with one. So I don't think there's it's going to sound cliche. There's not a wrong way. It's however you want to introduce it to your kids, or how you introduce it to a classroom or whatever. So I think you make valid points, and I like that you incorporated the fact that the way you ingest the other media, you like to do it in that way too, so everything kind of has its own flow. So great job, Jeremie. Miss you too, buddy, and we hope you're doing well out there and holding it down in California. And talk soon.
James?
Yeah, I mean, this question kind of comes from us just talking last Thursday, with Steven about like what movie we would start with. And I think my answer there was Phantom Menace as well. If I was somehow able to like erase my brain and go back into it or whatever. I will say though, I think if it was like, if I was showing a child like the question implies, I'd probably go 4, 5, 6 for them. And just do it release order. But I think for myself, I would rather do it the way that you suggest. So, but I don't know. It's a tricky question. People will debate over it for years. It's so crazy because it used to be like release order or machete order. And then it's like, now it's like there's 17 different ways you could do it. They just need to come up with more names. Like I just need to get on here and be like, Well, I've contemplated the zucchini version, but then the pillow version is like, it's pretty good. When you watch the pillow version, you know.
You sound like, I don't know what to say. You sound like Trump a little bit. Not that impression.
The 34 mix is probably my favorite, though.
The pillow version.
Jeez. Yeah, Jeremie, great answer. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know things are crazy for you right now, but we really appreciate it. We love having you in the community. I can totally understand why you'd want to start with The Phantom Menace. I mean, we talked about it with Steven last week where he was like, it's the best movie ever. Like, little kids, including myself, loved pod racing and all of that. I personally would probably start with A New Hope just because that's how I got into Star Wars, and I'd want to share that experience with a child if I had one. The way I just said that was so weird. If the child, anyway.
You have the child. You have two.
No,
of them.
but the way I said a child, henceforth in the year. I don't know. It sounded weird.
Which reminds me of 30 Rock too, when he goes, and he's a black. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
When Wayne Brady's on the show, he refers to him as a black, and they're like, "That's so condescending." He's like, "No, that's his last name. He's part of the family. They're great."
I gotta watch that show.
Mind.
That show is so ridiculous.
It's so good.
I just remember one of the things that made me laugh the hardest was the Roger.
Oh yeah, Roger.
Well, don't tell you now. I mean, come on.
I'm
Well,
not
John, that's the name of her movie.
That's the name of
It's the Roger.
Roger.
All right, I won't watch the show. I'll just hear you guys tell the jokes on our Star Wars.
All right.
You don't know what the joke is.
I love
'cause
that
you
he's
don't
getting
know.
so offended, even though it's been like, didn't
Yeah.
it come out in like 2004? Like,
Yeah, something like that.
There's
yeah.
other shows I'm
Anyway.
watching now that came out back then. So
all right. Jeremie,
it's a long
thank
pandemic.
you so much for your support. We're losing it, but thank you. Back to you, John, for
start
more
watching- I'm
questions.
gonna start watching like Matlock from season 1.
I always get Cagney and Lacey. Everyone always says that to me, like Cagney and Lacey, and I'm
Oh,
like,
I
I
never even
wasn't born in the
thought about
70s,
that.
so
Yeah.
that and Lacey Underalls from
You know, Matlock is the speculative
Caddyshack.
detective.
Caddyshack. What?
Matlock was a lawyer.
Matlock's the speculative detective.
No, he's a lawyer. He's not a detective.
It's a rural juror.
Oh my
Roger.
god. All right, enough. All right. Resuming Ask the Resistance, Lord of Alderaan asked us if Disney was brave enough to make a movie about the dark side of the Force, how would you like to see them go about it? Is there a certain point of view you'd like to see it from? Would you like to be would you like it to be pushed to an R rating? So, Lacey, why don't you kick this one off? First off, you want R-rated, and what do you think they're going to do if they pursued a dark side-centric movie or show?
So I have a little tweak of this question in the sense of, is Disney brave enough? They've been doing the villain movies, so I think they are brave enough. That's what they're kind of pushing right now. Are they brave enough for an R-rated movie? It's still Disney. I don't know. I guess Deadpool still kind of falls under that now, right? Because they bought 20th Century Fox, so Deadpool falls into that. But
Yeah, but they don't know what they're doing with Deadpool.
yeah, they really don't. Would they do an R-rated? Probably not. I would like to see one. I think that would be kind of cool. I'd like to see a Revan movie. I think we all would.
Mhm.
That's who I'd go with.
Sure.
All right.
John, what do you think?
I don't want an R-rated Star Wars. I don't like the idea that I could get my son into Star Wars and be like, but there's this other part of the storytelling that you're not allowed to watch yet. That's really important to the story and the history of the Force and the dark side of the Force, but you gotta wait a few years to watch that. I think it goes against George Lucas's statements that it's meant for 12-year-olds and coming of age. So while it's cool and stuff and everyone wants all that, I don't think they'll do it. But I think they will. I think eventually they'll get to a point where they're like, we still need to live in this era of the Galactic Civil War. We need to, or at least go back to it. And they've told so many stories with the protagonist being on the light side or with the rebellion or resistance or whatever, that they're going to have to dip their toes into the other side a little more. So I think we are going to get that. And, I would love nothing more than that canon prequel series of Palpatine learning under Darth Plagueis and seeing what kind of dirty deeds he gets into. I think that'd be really compelling and good storytelling and more Sheev, even if it's not Ian McDiarmid, so to speak. But I think they will, but I just don't think it'll be rated R. James, what do you got on this?
No to the rated R thing. I don't think they'd ever do that. As far as like a concept for a show, I'd like to see it. I'm not a writer, but I was kind of think like, what would be a story I think I'd be interested in seeing? And I feel like there's kind of an untapped market of that gray Jedi, that balanced Jedi thing that a lot of people like. And so what I feel like they could do is they could have it kind of be like a lone explorer, like a Force explorer, someone who's out to learn the mysteries of the Force and is totally open to the balance of it. So throughout this character's journey, he meets people and does good things for them, but then in turn, like, he meets other people and he totally dives into the dark side. And you have episodes where he, finds relics of old Sith and other ancient dark side characters. They can do that stuff. It's really cool, but then they can balance the whole thing out by having the character be a good guy as well. Maybe the show end up ultimately cultivating in him, like, really falling too hard into the dark side, and then maybe coming out of that fiction that the show started with and give him a whole arc is like, yeah, balance is okay in the first season. And then like later seasons go on and he like realizes like, no, man, the dark side's like really messed up. And I need to, have the show resolve with him being like, that's bad. Stay away from it kind of thing. That's how I would like it. Cause I don't think bad guys are the right-minded people. I don't like the balance in Star Wars argument, but I feel like they could market it. That could be like the gray market, and they could like tell that story to people who like that type of a balanced Force user, kind of thing.
Or they could
and it could get real dark and scary.
Yes,
at times.
Or whoever, if anyone ends up taking over Lucasfilm, they could just drop the hammer and be like, "We're doing a Vader series. We're doing it," and then just go that route.
Yeah.
All right. So next one we have Rez at Real Rez Ludub, another patron. What is up, Rez? Do you think we will see more live action pod racing on Tatooine? I'll kick this one off. I don't think so, only because, and I think I've said this on the pod before, I think that's George Lucas's thing in a very like more personal way than people think, because George Lucas is obsessed with racing and hot rods, and it was sort of his nod to like American Graffiti. They haven't really explored it much since. It would be a big undertaking in terms of the visual spectacle, even if they do use the volume and all that sort of thing. But I really think that's George's thing, and I don't know if they're going to re-explore that on Tatooine again, because then, especially if you do it on Tatooine again, people are going to be like, well, we saw that already in The Phantom Menace. I don't know if we need to see another pod race there. If they did it in a different setting, maybe, like a snowy thing. Now I'm thinking of like Mario Kart, all the different racetracks and stuff. But I mean, that's just my take. I don't know. I could be off. They may fire it up in an upcoming thing. I know they've talked about it in comics and stuff, but I think that's George's thing, and I think they're gonna leave it there. But who we got? James, what do you got on this one?
I think you're right on that. I think that they probably won't go back to pod racing on Tatooine, but they very well could in a live action setting of some sort. I don't think they would feature, but I think you might see it or get like a couple scenes, just quick clips of like, vroom, 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 you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And be like, oh man, it kind of has that familiar tie with Star Wars, almost something to put in the trailer.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, we're gonna see pod racing again. It's like, it's not a big focus, but yeah, we wanted to like get you into the show, and lock you in a little bit. So I think potentially, on another planet, and I think that could just be the difference enough, to allow somebody else to want to do it.
Yeah, like Qui-Gon said, Malice there had it right.
Yeah.
Lacey, what do you think? Are we going to see more pod racing on Tatooine?
I wish we would, but no. I don't see that happening. I think you're completely right, John. It's like a George Lucas thing that was kind of his baby, and I think they would mention it, but I don't think we're going to see it.
Okay. The only and I just started thinking, if we go to Tatooine for Solo, will they send Han out to do a pod race or something? Like, I don't know, but yeah, I think it's done for George. Imagine George, that was part of George's clause. He's like, I'm gonna sell you Star Wars. You can't do any more pod racing.
Pod racing.
Yeah, you can't do any more pod racing. All right, next one. We have two more. We'll see how we are on time for if we want to keep going. But Will Skywalker at Easy Weezy Will said, if you were tasked with making Star Wars Episode 10, which I'm assuming is going to be the future of Rey and whatever, how would you go about doing it? This one is starting with you, James.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I didn't give a lot of thought going into this. So I don't know. I think that I think I've said this before, maybe. So maybe that's where I'm pulling from. But I think it would be cool to do the like Rey falls and Finn has to save her, maybe.
Like falls down a flight of stairs?
Yeah.
That's like the worst thing I could think of. Rey just trips him.
No, Lacey's like the best case because she's like, wait a minute, Star Wars meets the staircase.
True crime.
I didn't kill my wife.
Yeah. Oh, Han Solo's back.
it.
Star Wars War. Did the guy in the staircase kill his wife?
No, an owl
Yeah.
did.
Staircase War.
An owl did. Well, let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I think that could be interesting to see Rey be kind of the villain of sorts. But I feel like if you did do that, you lose your trio, and I feel like the trio is part of Star Wars in a pretty heavy manner. So I don't know. I don't know how 10 works because it feels like you have to bring back the Empire to some degree. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Right?
It's I really can't think of anything that would be very interesting. So Lacey, what do you think?
So I think. So I agree with James. I think it's tough because, you know, you think of Star Wars, you think of stormtroopers and all that other stuff, and that's kind of like what everyone got excited about with The Force Awakens. When we first saw imagery, it was all the stormtroopers again, even like white stormtroopers who were like, stormtroopers are back, what does this mean? So it's hard to think of Star Wars without those very common things. But I think that's kind of what could be potentially exciting is if they didn't go that direction. And maybe the next trilogy, starting with 10, was Rey going on adventures trying to figure out what it's all about, or looking for a certain item or something like that, kind of like more of a Lord of the Rings, Indiana Jones style type trilogy where she's looking for something that could potentially cause damage and not necessarily an army itself. But then again, you get into that, okay, but then what is the Star War of Star Wars? Like, what is the war?
Yeah.
So it's tricky, but I think you're going to definitely have Rey, who's trained Master Jedi or whatever that is. We don't know if that's a Jedi or not. And then I think Finn would be Force sensitive. I liked the idea you came up with, John, where Poe Dameron dies, because then it kind of drives the story forward of they've lost someone, so now they need to move forward. And I think someone like a Jannah could really take that spot in the trio.
Sure.
And make it a little different than what we've seen in the other movies, which have been 2 guys and a girl. It could be 2 girls and Finn going on an adventure. I think that could be cool.
I like both your ideas. I think Rey turning to the dark side's dangerous because it could negate I am all the Jedi, and Rey was the one who didn't turn, and she became the Skywalker by rejecting the darkness. Like Rey's already done her flirting with the darkness, so I think it'd be interesting. It'd be a tough sell for me personally. I still think it's a good idea. For me personally, it'd be a tough sell.
Yeah, that's like saying Luke's done his flirting with the darkness.
Yeah. But yeah, Lacey, I do like what you say about just kind of scrubbing out the temptation for the fan service of white stormtroopers and TIE fighters, that sort of thing. You can maintain your fan service by keeping R2 around, Chewie, the Falcon, all those mainstays, even 3PO, whether you need someone else in the suit if Anthony Daniels wants to retire. Little Force Ghost visits from people we know, but also maybe incorporating this guy who's going to be like adult by maybe that point. Baby Yoda's going to be around, right? And they're not going to kill him in The Mandalorian. Maybe bring in other people we've seen around new shows they're making, and not do a Marvel Avengers thing, but it would make sense for like Baby Yoda to be around during that time. And maybe there's a new Sith uprising who there's a Sith awakening. Like there's so many things you can do, and I think we're gonna see it eventually. But but whatever Boyega says is whatever he says, and that's fine. But I think he will come back. I'm believing Oscar Isaac that I don't think he'll come back. So if he does, I do think they're gonna kill him off. But what's good about that?
I think John needed a break. I think that's
yeah. And what like I think Larry Kazdan always said just something, if you sacrifice somebody early on, it can make you uneasy about the fate of everyone else. Like, well, if that person dies, then none of these people are safe.
Right.
And that's what they kind of wanted to do with Han Solo in the original trilogy, Harrison Ford and Kazdan, and George Lucas was like, nope. So,
right.
But yeah, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But do you guys think, like, I know we're removed from it about 8 months now. Do you have, and when we left 9, I think we all kind of thought we'd see them again. Have you changed on that at all? Do you think we'll eventually see Daisy back and the evergreen characters?
They're Disney stuff. They're gonna bring them back. I mean, you've gotten how many Toy Stories now?
4. Yeah.
They're gonna bring back. Right,
and Daisy
absolutely.
hasn't talked about it like the other two guys have. She's kind of kept quiet.
I think John is very in the public eye when it comes to social media. I think he's gotten a lot of harassment and a lot of craziness.
Oh, definitely.
I think he wanted a break. So his break is saying, nope, I'm good for now. Because then those people won't keep asking him because he's answered the question, even if the chance comes up later that he will do it.
Yeah. James, you think you changed it all on that? Do you think they're going to be coming back or no?
It depends on if Lucasfilm can screw their head back on.
Spicy Baney has reared his head.
Cilantro.
I feel like I could answer the question of like, do I think Tony Stark is going to come back more than I could answer the question of 3 actors returning to Star Wars, you know? And it's just, it's so crazy to me that it doesn't have anything to do with the story. It has just so much to do with, we just don't know what they're thinking and what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So,
it's like The Notebook.
Lacey,
what do you want?
Lacey, you said it recently. You're like, I don't know, the things that you absolutely think are guaranteeing going to happen don't, and the things that you're like they'll never do that do.
Yep.
So it's like it's such a weird thing where you're like, it seems obvious to bring these people back, but then I don't know if they will or not, you know? And it also, in a weird way, it seems like stupid to bring them back because you just that's it. Episodes 1 through 9, now do other stuff. But then they could be like, we're going back to what made much money, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know what makes sense anymore. I can't make heads or tails of what's up and down. So I literally just, I can't say. I don't know. I don't know if they'll do that.
Yeah, it's going to be up to what these next slate of films do. If they can live on their own and be away from the episodic stuff and make $1 billion, then maybe not. But if they sputter a bit and people are like, nope, Star Wars is this to me, they're going to be like, you're coming back, everybody. Full bore. Stormtroopers, everybody. We're all coming back.
Palpatine is back again.
Yeah. And how old am I that I still do this with the phone? That's how you know how old you are.
Yeah.
You do that. All right. Last question, I believe, for us this time. Thanks to everybody who has sent in questions. You guys sent a lot, so we're going to stockpile these and use them for future episodes and stuff, so we thank you. Lando's Lounge has asked us, guests who visit Universal can travel from Diagon Alley to Hogsmeade. Oh, jeez, I'm... Big Potter fan.
Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade.
Hogsmeade, using 2 different locations. If Disney were to make another location for guests to visit besides Black Spire, what would your dream location be? A familiar one or a brand new one? So Lacey, you start off on this one. Even though you and I have not been to Galaxy's Edge yet. Where would you like to see them expand Galaxy's Edge? Do you want a familiar place that we know, a new place, and that people can like travel to?
So I haven't been to Galaxy's Edge. It's really upsetting. And I'm gonna get yelled at for saying this, but from what I see in pictures and experiences, Harry Potter World crushes Galaxy's Edge in both appearance and experience, because you get to go to those locations that are in the books and in the movies, that all these certain moments happen and you're standing in that spot. You're in the bank. You're in, the 3 broomsticks. You're in all these places, and you get to be in the Weasley brothers sweet shop and all these things that when you're reading the book, you get to picture it in your mind, and then you're actually there. And that's where I think, this is kind of a little bit of a tangent, Disney failed with Galaxy's Edge, because you don't get to go to a place that you know of unless you've read those side books and comics and stuff. So I would hope that if they were to expand the park, it would be somewhere that we've seen. I would love for it to be Maz's castle. I think that would be so cool. I really would love Coruscant, but obviously you can't do that because it's a whole planet that's a city. So it's kind of like you think logically of like what could they build, and that would be, an Ewok treehouse village would be cool, or something like that. Like I don't think they'd take you to Hoth or to in the middle of the desert. So I think the coolest locations would be ones that are lush and ones that photograph well, which would be a Takodana or Ewok village.
Lacey, would you like it if they just did Jabba's palace?
That would actually be really cool. I don't think it would be cool in the sense of like terrible things happen there, but it would be cool to just go into as a Star Wars fan. But I'm thinking like logically of like what a park would be like with little kids, and you want it to be fun, and there has to be spots for restaurants and little cutesy village like shops and stuff. And I don't think that Jabba's palace has spots for those.
Nope. They would have a killer band,
pit, though, that they the pit would kill you.
All right. James, you have been to Galaxy's Edge. You've experienced it, did the blue milk, the green milk, all that stuff. If they were able to expand to it and you could travel to another place, would you want it to be somewhere familiar or another new canon, planet?
Well, there's a couple things here. Number one, they are doing that.
Is that confirmed? They're expanding it?
Yeah, well, the Star Cruiser.
Oh, the
Star
hotel.
Cruiser is an experience that is Star Wars canon beyond the park, and being able to go to one and travel between the two. But if you go to one, you don't necessarily go to the other. But if you go to the other,
I don't think you can go to the
get
hotel, though, if you're not a guest.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if you go to Batuu, you can't go to this other one, just like how in the question it makes it seem like you can just travel between the two, but you have to buy tickets to both parks. But you can travel between the parks if you have passes to both parks. Right, because one's in Islands of Adventure. This is like getting Park Hopper. Yeah, one's in Islands of Adventure and then one's in just Universal. Correct. You have to have tickets to Universal and Islands of Adventure, but with having tickets to both, you can ride the train that takes you from one Harry Potter world to the other. So in a way, this is like if you if you would go to Galaxy's Edge, you can't get into the Star Cruiser. But if you get into the Star Cruiser, part of your adventure is traveling to Batuu. And then if you wanted to, you could leave Batuu as well, and you could go to the park or whatever, but I don't know why you would do that.
But
I mean,
the
you just stay in there and go.
It's just a hotel.
Yeah, what about, the hotel's the hotel.
No, I think there's going to be more to it. Obviously, there's going to be like casinos and shopping and all sorts of other stuff.
I don't think as much as you think. I think it's just like one restaurant. There's like a little bit of a training area for kids, basically babysitting, and then like a store.
I think of it like a cruise. Like you spend the majority of your time in the Star Cruiser.
There's no rides.
And then I know there's no rides.
Yeah, we're talking about
there's no rides on a cruise.
Right, but we're talking about like a park, like Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley have rides and shops and restaurants, and like it's a whole experience.
Okay, so you're not accepting my answer. They already are doing this. But besides that, if they were doing another park, I think I agree, or I disagree wholeheartedly with what you had to say, Lacey. But it's fine, but I understand what you're saying. I'm very glad that they did Galaxy's Edge the way they did, because I don't think any particular planet in Star Wars works. Like, probably the one I've heard the most is, I want to go to Tatooine, I want to go to Luke's house, I want to go to Mos Eisley and go to the cantina and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't like that as much. And I'm a little bit of a different angle, because I have read all the books, I have read all the comics. So when I do go there, I go, that is legit Doc Ondor. I'm actually in his place. And I think, even though I do love Harry Potter, but I think I still feel more excited to be there and see Hondo and see the Falcon is kind of a whatever, because that's in the movies. But to all these different places, because I have read them and I have experienced them, and now I'm actually there. Even more so than the Harry Potter ones, because I guess I didn't read the books, I watched the movies, but it still feels the same. I know what you're saying, you're in the bank. I've been in the bank. It's cool. But I think what you're even saying is you got to have the shops and the restaurants and all the other stuff like that. That makes it fun for families. And I'm like, that's exactly Galaxy's Edge. It's great. I love it. And I'm glad that it's a new experience. So I don't know. That's where I'm at. So I'd probably go new experience again. Like either expand Galaxy's Edge to a whole new area, or make it so that we take a light speed place to another planet that's maybe indoors or something, but it's like an underground planet, but they just do it like indoors, but it's kind of cool that way. I don't know.
Right on. Yeah, I don't know, because I want to experience it first before I obviously give my full take on it. But I do, I think there is this, even people, at Disney, and people who go to Disney who aren't diehard Star Wars fans are probably a little confused as to why they didn't do familiar stuff. And I get that. So while I think I would love Black Spire and Galaxy's Edge, I think it would make sense if they expand that section of the park where you travel to this next location to make the other location a familiar spot. But you can do it where it's a familiar spot, but a different part of that familiar spot. So it has shades of familiarity. It's like, no, this is, Cloud City, but we're in a different building. And this is, So I think they can do that where you have your original organic thing of Batuu, and then you could do your familiar place too, so you get the both best of both worlds. So that's what I think they may do. I think they are going to expand. They have plenty of acreage, I believe, still under their ownership.
Not in Cali,
expand.
but in Florida.
In Disney World, yeah. Hollywood Studios, yeah. But I'm so upset I didn't get to go. We were supposed to go this month, but not to be. Another time.
Yeah. And we were even thinking Celebration might be canceled, but maybe we still go.
It's
like, nah.
Yeah, I know.
Pandemic, man. Everything.
Pandemic. But that is that's time. We had more questions, but we're up on time here, so we're gonna wrap up the show. We want to thank everyone for listening and watching and being a part of the resistance Thank you all so much. Make sure, as Lacey said, you subscribe to us because we have 2 episodes every week. And this fall, 2 months away, the Mando Fan Show is coming back. So you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, Podbean, any pod app that you prefer. Make sure you do subscribe. And StarWarsNewsNet.com is where you should be going for all of your Star Wars news as things start to heat up, as more projects are being announced and Mandalorian shows up. We're going to be doing full written reviews there as well. Teespring.com/store/Resistance Broadcast. You can get Gary the Porg, Supreme Leader, a bunch of our other designs, almost all of them designed by James over there, from our weird imaginations in our brains. You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and writing and editing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. James? Twitter and Instagram at Meyer Trunks. Don't got a whole lot other than if you have been holding back on Instagram because, you didn't know we had a TRB Instagram, let Lacey get to it, but she's kicking it up a notch, if you will. So what are you, Admiral Agassi? So go over there. Yeah. I don't know who that is. Bam! Lacey? Oh, that guy? Yeah. That's the guy from Futurama, right? Kick it up a notch. All right. People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gilleran. Also, make sure to follow the podcast on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast, and also Star Wars Newsnet at Star Wars Newsnet. God, I just rocked all your latest Star Wars news and much more. And on our pod account, we're going to be doing like behind the scenes stuff and just cool stuff. So make sure you're following there. And maybe exclusive giveaways, right? So John came up with this idea of exclusive giveaways. So yes, we will be doing exclusive giveaways because he keeps bringing it up. So yes, make sure you follow us at The Resistance Broadcast, fully spelled out for you. Yeah. Fun story. The reason why we didn't get that on Twitter is character limitations. We tried. And it was like, yeah, didn't work out. Like Resistance Broad, no. Resistance Brad. Yeah, some people try to take out vowels of like BRD, CST. I'm like, nah, it's just. I mean, it was even to the point where we couldn't get TRB at SWNN. No, SWNN. I think we could have. I think we just didn't do it because we were debating the part. But anyway. Really? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, we could change it. Regardless, all you need to know is at RBATSWNN and at The Resistance Broadcast on Instagram. That's all you need to know. And we're very close to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed there yet, maybe you don't always watch the show, but we have other videos that we do on the channel there too. And the virtual cantinas and stuff are available there as well if you don't make the live show. A lot of cool stuff on the channel, including the book discussions. I'll be bringing back rumor reviews when there's rumors to talk about. And Lacey's going to be going through some merch because people keep sending her stuff. And she has a lot of stuff. So I buy a lot. I found that the quarantine's been good for me because at like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll be on eBay and no one else is on. So I win everything. Lacey outbids herself on I have done that before where I've just upped my bid for I don't know. Anyway. Wait, less people are on the internet during the quarantine? At 3 in the middle of the night. Everyone's sleeping and Lacey's buying AT-ATs on eBay. I haven't found one yet. So I'm going to put out a plea to Star Wars fans. If you can find me an AT-AT, I want one so bad I can't find one. What's our... Oh, I might have someone. I kind of forgot about that. Some guy online was like, oh, that's so... I tweeted that I wanted one. I'm like, I'm still looking for one. It's basically like my white whale. It's the one thing I've been looking for. Mm-hmm. And this guy was like, oh, I've got 17. And I was like, thanks, guy. Doesn't help me. Yeah. And then I keep getting people tweeting at me saying, how bad do you want it? And I'm like, I don't know what that means. I mean, I want it pretty bad, but I'm not sure like what kind of deal you're having me make for it. Yeah. You never know with people on the internet. What's our word of the day for the diehards so we know that they watch the end of the show? Hogsmeade. Martini. Hogsmeade. Nobody knows how to spell that. Oh, I forgot to mention that too. Harry says diagonally. Diagonally. So
Yeah, Diagonally.
So Hogsmeade. If they don't spell it right, they don't spell it right. Hogsmeade. Hogsmeade.
Hogsmeade.
Tweet at us Hogsmeade to let us know you watched the end of the show. And we're going to get out of here. Enjoy your week. Stay safe. Stay I can never say that. Stay safe. Stay healthy. We'll see you Thursday morning.
Stay safe. Stay well.
Yeah. Thursday morning, we're going to be talking about all those episode 10 and the new movies and all that stuff. Maybe Disney Plus. Look at Mulan. Who knows? We're going to talk about it. So we'll see you on Thursday morning right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.